Trend is the #1 most important technical indicator in trading. The more often you are able to correctly identify the trend of a ticker, the higher your win rate will be. So it makes sense that if you had a way to always correctly identify the current trend of a ticker, you would be a better trader. And this video is going to help you achieve that, because in it, we are going to build these trend labels that you see in the top left of the chart up there together step by step. And we'll even build a scanner to help you find stocks that are either in uptrend or in downtrend. So the first thing that we need to discuss is how we are able to identify trend. What value are we using to give a quantifiable amount to whether the stock is in uptrend or in downtrend? The niche that we cover on this YouTube channel is systematic trading. So in order to build the trading system, once again, you must have an objective value. You can't just say like, look at the chart and determine whether it's an uptrend or downtrend. No, there needs to be a way you can objectively define that. Well, the way we objectively define it is as such. I'm going to come in and I'm going to create a new study. And the value I want to plot first is going to be the highest high value. And let's just say out of the last 10 bars. And I'm going to offset that value by 1 just so the current candle isn't included. Now, this isn't the entire way that we identify trend, but this is the first value that I want to showcase to you. So if we plot this on the chart, you will now see, of course, this cyan line represents whatever the highest high value is out of the previous 10 bars. Now, trading up and above that obviously would mean you're an uptrend, but I use a value like this more so to identify when a stock is breaking out. Obviously, you can see here on the S&P 500 daily chart, when we get up and above this level, that would be called a breakout. The S&P 500 is breaking out into all-time highs. That's not really a great way to identify trend. It's a great way to identify breakouts, but that's not the point of the code we're building in today's video. So I'm going to hop back into our custom code here, and let's actually zoom it in a little bit so you can read this a little bit easier. What I'm going to do is I'm going to now wrap this value, the highest high out of the last 10 bars, inside of the lowest function. I want to see the lowest of that value out of the last 10 bars. As we hit apply on this and come back out to our chart, you will now see the way that this changes the paint of that line. Once again, now giving you the lowest value out of the highest high out of the last 10 bars. Does this make more sense? This is a better way to identify, hey, if we're above this line, of course, the stock is currently not just like breaking out. It's not just having a local breakout, but it is in a larger picture uptrend. Now, I want to give you something else here. I want to give you the ability to easily change the length of your highest value and your lowest value, because I want you to take this code and adjust it to find what works best for your own personal trading goals, because that's going to be a little bit different for every single person watching this video. So at the top of our code, I'm going to put in an input variable. I will name the variable length, and for now, I will set it equal to 10. Now, inside of our highest high, instead of hard coding in 10, we will reference the variable of length, and within our lowest low, once again, rather than hard coding in 10, we'll reference our variable of length. This isn't going to change anything right now, of course, but what it does is if I click into the settings cog of this study now, I have an input parameter of obviously length. So instead of 10, we could say change this to 20. And as we hit apply, you will now notice that the lines sort of react a little bit slower to current price action, because now it's referencing the highest high and lowest low value out of the last 20 bars rather than just the last 10. So take this code, and when you make it, go across multiple different charts, change the length parameter, and find what makes the most sense for identifying trend to the way you trade. And by the way, this will work obviously on any ticker. If I switch over to NVIDIA, let's say, the lines will automatically be plotted, and it will work on any time frame. If we hop down into the 5-minute chart, the the lines will automatically be plotted. So for whatever types of stocks you trade and for whatever time frame you typically trade on, take this code that I've just given you, adjust the input parameters, and find what works best for identifying trend to help you achieve your personal trading goals. Now, we still have a lot more to cover in today's video. We haven't even turned the lines into labels yet. And then, of course, we also have to build the scanner to help you find stocks that are currently in trend. But first, I want to tell you about my website, daytradingstrategies.net. And this is where I would normally hop into the whole ad read of how you can sign up to the website to access over 150 ThinkorSwim codes that I've already published. You can even get access to a Discord server, etc., etc. And please feel free, if you would like to do that, head on over to the website and do that. But most of you probably don't even know that I also offer a course on how to code in ThinkorSwim. I really never talk about this, but in this course, you will learn everything you need to know about coding in ThinkorSwim. You have to have zero previous coding experience. I will teach you what you need to know about code, and then I will teach you how to code anything, be it studies, strategies, scanners, conditional orders, automated alerts, etc., etc. By the end of it, you will be a pro in ThinkorSwim coding. Now, the course isn't cheap. Listen, I worked really hard on this. I'm trying to get my money back out of it for what I feel like I put into it. The course does cost $2,000. But I'll tell you what, you're watching this video and I'm making you sit through this ad read. So if you use coupon code 50 at checkout, it will take 50% off, which makes the course only $1,000. The course consists of 10 chapters and 39 sections. Every single section comes with both a video and a text lesson. That's 39 videos teaching you, once again, everything you need to know about getting your ThinkorSwim set up, learning how to code, and then specifically learning how to code anything in ThinkorSwim. And I'll tell you this as well. If you decide to sign up for the course and you finish it, you complete it, and after you feel like you haven't learned enough that over the rest of your trading career, the skill that you have learned is going to help you make back at least $1,000, please just reach out to me. You can click here and into the Contact Us tab. You will email me directly and I will give you your $1,000 back. That's how confident I am that you will appreciate what you learn from this course. So anyway, daytradingstrategies.net. It will be linked in the description down below this video. Click on the little graduation cap in the top right to learn more about the course and go sign up and become a better trader today. So let's get back into our code here and let's clean this up. The lines on the chart are honestly just pretty ugly, especially if you want to get into more technical analysis of the chart. These lines will just end up getting in your way. Now, if you like them, please feel free to leave them as plots. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change my uptrend and downtrend variables from being plotted values to simply being values that are saved locally within this code by changing our declaration keyword from plot to defined. Now we need to make use of the add label function. So add label, open parentheses. The add label accepts a handful of parameters. The first being, when should it show up? What should the condition be that this label shows? I want the labels to always be on. I just want them to change colors if the stock is either an uptrend or if the stock is in downtrend. So I want the label to always be on. I will set my condition to simply yes. The second parameter, separate your parameters with a comma, by the way, is what text should be in the label. I'm going to go with uptrend. Of course, put your text inside quotation marks. And then the third parameter is of color. Now, this is where we will start to do our logic within this parameter. If uptrend, so if our uptrend variable is true, if the stock, or should I say, I need to say this. If the close is greater than uptrend, so remember, uptrend just plots this line. So if the current price is greater than uptrend, then we want to go with color.light green, else we want to go with color.light gray. Close our parentheses, end our line of code with a semicolon. Great, that is our uptrend label. Now, of course, we also need our downtrend label. Yes, downtrend, and then we're going to go if close is lower than our downtrend line, then color.light red, else color dot light. If I can type and talk at the same time. Did I type all that right? Look, pretty good, Trey. Now, if I hit apply, we should notice that the lines on this chart behind me here go away. And instead, we have some labels up in the top left showing us whether we are in uptrend or downtrend. Here on the NVIDIA 5-minute chart, we are in uptrend. Very nice kick here on the intraday chart. If I hop out to the daily, however, we're actually not in downtrend anymore. Earlier, we were in downtrend here as well, but the stock seems to have bounced enough that we are no longer in downtrend. What is something that would be in downtrend? Is the S&P? No. Is AMC? No. What's a stock that's doing really, really poorly right now? Trey, you can think of one off the top of your head. Lucid. Lucid's been getting owned lately. There we go. Here's a stock that is doing really poorly, and we can see also that our downtrend label is working as expected. A couple more things to make these labels even better before we move on to building the scanner. This add label function also accepts two more optional parameters of font size and position. So you can make the labels larger, or you can move them into any corner of your chart. So let's set them up that way so that you can decide sort of what you want your look and feel to look like. To do this, we're going to create two more input parameters. The first I'll just name text, and we're going to set this equal by default to font size dot medium. This will actually make these labels a little bit bigger because by default the font size is small. And next we're going to go with location, and we're going to set this equal to location dot top underscore left. So now back down within our add label functions. I actually did it backwards up here, but it doesn't really matter. The first parameter, next parameter in the list, should I say, is location. So we can simply type in location to reference that input variable. And the next is text size. So we can simply type in text. We'll do that, of course, for both labels. And now as I hit apply and we come back out, you'll notice that the labels have gotten a little bit larger, and you can even change this further now once again from the input parameters. If I wanted to make the text large and I wanted to move them to the bottom right instead of the top left, all I would need to do is change that from my input parameters, and as we hit apply, you can now see that being true down here in the bottom right. So just a couple more look and feel things so that you can set this up exactly as you would like it. I'm going to go back to medium and back to top left. But for now, let's go ahead and move on to the next step, which is creating a scanner to help us identify when stocks are either in uptrend or in downtrend. So actually the first thing that we're going to do before hopping on over into the scan tab is we are going to grab this source code that we've already built, at least everything above the add label. Because listen, we've already defined our code for uptrend and downtrend. There's no need to do that again. Just use what we've already built, right? So copy that code, head on over into the scan tab within ThinkorSwim, and then we are going to add a filter here from the top right, and we will add a filter type of study. From here, we're going to click into the pencil icon, and into the ThinkScript editor, we can paste in that code. Now, a couple of things we need to fix here. Of course, we've just defined our uptrend and our downtrend as those lines that we showcased at the beginning of the video, right? But in order for the stock to actually be an uptrend or in downtrend, remember the close must either be greater than our uptrend line or the close must be lower than our downtrend line. So let's make sure that we set that in our uptrend and downtrend variables so that the scan is only returning stocks actually currently trading above the plotted line. Next, notice the error here at the bottom of our code box. At least one plot should be defined. The way that study filters in ThinkorSwim decide what in the code is going to be used in the scanner is from the keyword plot. So if you want to scan for uptrend, change the declaration keyword from define to plot. If we do this and hit OK, we should now, as I run this scanner, only see stocks that are currently in uptrend on the daily time frame. Now you can change the time frame by clicking on this box here, which gives you the option to select any time frame available within ThinkorSwim. So if you would like to scan across any other time frame, you can simply do that. But for now, let's take a look at the daily just to make sure it's working as expected. I see Rocket and I see Micron at the top of my list. So if I go over to Rocket, you can see this stock is in uptrend, largely because it's getting a singular big spike up today. The next stock is Micron, another stock that is currently in uptrend. And this is kind of like what at least a like dip buyer might be looking for. Hey, I just ran a scanner. I found a stock that's an uptrend, but is currently down over 5% on the day. That might be an opportunity to go buy a dip, right? This is a macro strong uptrend stock on the daily, currently on a dip. Maybe that's the kind of dip I want to buy. We'll get into some other like ways that you can use this information later in the video, but just sort of leaning into it there a little bit. It looks to be working as expected to find uptrend stocks. Now, of course, if you wanted to find downtrend, you would simply change uptrend back to DEF, and you would instead make your plot this downtrend variable. Now, if we run this scanner, I should only see stocks returned that are currently in downtrend. So I see Palantir, which is currently in a downtrend, and I see Nvidia, which is currently in a downtrend. Scan looks to be working as expected. The last thing I will say here is remember, you will need to update your length parameter here to whatever you found works best for identifying trend on the types of stocks and on the time frame that you like to trade. So just make sure that you are updating that as well. Now, this is a very vague scanner. It's giving us 1,700 results. I mean, there's going to be a ton of stocks that are either in uptrend or downtrend. So what I would suggest doing with this scanner is intersecting it with another one of your scanners. So you probably have scanners built in ThinkorSwim or ones that you've downloaded from my website, daytradingstrategies.net. What you can do is you can intersect this idea of trend with any of those. What I'm going to go with is I'm going to go with my fundamentals scanner. I just made a video on this the other day. Basically, it returns stocks that have a rapid sales per share growth and a positive EPS. So now remember here we are scanning for stocks in downtrend. As I run this, we're going to go from 1,700 results now down to only 56. And now I know I'm seeing stocks that have very strong fundamentals and are currently in downtrend. So that is a good trade idea right there. I am scanning for stocks that I think are fundamental good buys, and I know now I'm getting them at good price levels because they are currently in a downtrend. The market is pretty down right now as I'm making this video. So Palantir, Nvidia, SMCI, Microsoft, Broadcom, TSM, MicroStrategy, a lot of big names currently on this list. But that's what I would do. Intersect this just simple trend filter with any other scanner that you like to run so that you can find the types of stocks you like to trade, whether they are in uptrend or whether they are in downtrend. Now let's talk about a completely different way you could go about scanning for stocks that are either in uptrend or downtrend. We're going to come back into our study source code. This time I'm going to copy the entire code, including the add label functions, and we're going to hop back on over into our scan tab. This time I am just running that fundamental scanner. I'm not running any kind of trend scan at all. And let's say I wanted to see from these fundamentally sound companies which are in uptrend, downtrend, or no trend. To do that, I'm going to create a custom column that shows us the information of the trend of the stock. To create a custom column in ThinkorSwim, you're going to click on this cog icon to the far right of the headers, and you're going to go in to customize. From your lookup a column, you're going to type in custom. Here you'll see something like custom 1 through 19. Double click to add any of them to your current set, and then hop into the scroll icon to begin working in the ThinkScript editor. Obviously now I will paste in all of that code that we just brought over. Now, if I actually let me show you something else I need to do. We also actually only need one ad label. If we try to run 2 ad labels, it's going to end up breaking something. So let's go down to 1 ad label, and let's also get rid of the location and text. We just don't need that either. What we need to do now is we need to build the functionality of if the stock is uptrend, then color.green, or if the stock is in downtrend, color.red. We need to build all that within one label rather than 2 separate ones. We already know how to do this. If close is greater than uptrend, then color.green, else color.light gray. But now we need to nest another if within it. Else if close is less than downtrend, then color.light red, else color.light gray. So just simply one more nested if statement, not too difficult. And if I've done this correctly, actually, hold on, I also need to change the text from uptrend. Let's change it to just trend. If I've done this correctly, when I come out and I click OK here, we should see this column as it's loading in. It says the word trend. If the stock is in uptrend on the daily chart, that will highlight the word green. Else, if it's in downtrend, that will highlight the text red. The scary part I'm seeing here, oh, okay, actually, there are a couple now that are coming in gray. So, of course, if the stock is in no trend, it comes in gray. Let's actually go look here at Tesla on the daily, which says it is in no trend. So we should see neither one of the labels lit up here, and that is true. The stock is not really in uptrend or downtrend right now. It's just sort of in chop. So now we can run any scanner we want to, and as long as we obviously have this custom column turned on, we can see whether those scan results are in uptrend or in downtrend. One more thing I want to show you back into the edit of this custom column. Once again, just like you could from the uptrend scanner that we built, you can change the time frame here. So let's say I want to see the 5-minute trend, and I will leave include extended hours turned on so that this also works in pre-market and after hours. As I hit apply on this, we should now see all of these stocks, whether they are in uptrend or downtrend, based on their 5-minute charts. So I can see that Palantir, based on its 5-minute chart, is in fact in an uptrend. If we hop into the 5-minute chart here, wow, what a recovery day for Palantir. Congratulations, holders, or dip buyers, super congratulations. Anyway, we can see that the uptrend is in fact lit green on the 5-minute chart. Now let's talk about some different implementations of this, different ways you could go about making use of either this scanner, the labels, or the custom column. What I'm going to do is I'm going to load in my Gappers scanner. By the way, all of these scanners, like this entire list that you see, and obviously all the scanners we've looked at, they're all available over on my website, daytradingstrategies.net. Anyway, this scanner very simply scans for stocks that are up at least 20% on the day and trading heavy volume. So I could load a scan like this, and I can go look for stocks that are in downtrend. Actually, none of them right now are in downtrend on the 5-minute, but even some of these that are just gray, they're currently not in uptrend. That would mean that the stock, while being strong, while being up at least 20% on the day, is currently not strong. So maybe if you are a dip buyer, this would be a good place for you to go look. THAR, the number one stock on the list, actually up 107% on the day, is currently not in uptrend. It's currently in neither uptrend or downtrend, just sort of chopping here. That might provide to you then a dip buying opportunity. Or if you are more of a continuation trader, you would come down to the next stock being Rocket, actually THAR now sort of starting to flash into uptrend, but let's go look at Rocket. We can see this one is an uptrend, so I can hop on over to this chart and I can see that in fact intraday, while being up at least 20% on the day, it is also currently in uptrend. So whether you are a reversal trader looking for weakness or a continuation trader looking for strength, you can make use of these labels of the uptrend downtrend scan we built, or of course of this custom column. In today's video, you coded something. Actually, you coded 3 things. You coded a study, a scanner, and a custom scan column. If you had fun, if you found it interesting, obviously you did, you made it to the end of this whatever 25-minute long video, then make sure once again you head on over to daytradingstrategies.net, head on into the graduation cap icon up here in the top right and begin to learn more about my course. Remember, if you would like to sign up, use code 50 to take 50% off at checkout. And remember, I'm offering you all a money back guarantee. Take the course, complete it, really put your time and effort into it. And if at the end you still feel like it just wasn't worth it, like you didn't learn enough that you're going to make back at least $1,000, please just email me. I will give you your money back right away. Daytradingstrategies.net. Head on over to the website linked in the description down below. Maybe read some of the reviews while you're over there. Decide for yourself if this is something that could help accelerate your personal trading journey.